Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Warhammer Warcry for the channel, and today the Iron Golems are going up against the Gorger Mawpack, neither of which are at home in a forest with exceptionally tall trees, but hey, they're fighting here regardless. And this is going to be available to channel members first as a thank you for the extra support they're willing and able to show to the channel, so thank you for that, I really do appreciate it. Thanks for helping keep the lights on, and if you want access to this series and others early, please do consider becoming a channel member. With that said, we're going to be randomizing our deployment type, but we're going to be rolling for a mission from the Catacombs book, so we have to do some updating because it's based on the old rules for Warcry. Cover that when we're rolling for it though. Let's first look at the two teams. And let's start by looking at the Iron Golems, broken into Dagger, Hammer, Shield, group of 3, group of 3, group of 2. So in the Dagger, we have the Dominar, who is the leader. We have the Armator, which is the little dwarf here, and then we have the Signifier at the back, so that's kind of like a lot of their heavy hitters. Not their heaviest hitter, but they're pretty decent, above average guys. In the Hammer, we have the Drill Master, we have 2 Iron Legionaries, one with bolas, one just with standard mace and shield. And then finally, speaking of shields, they have their biggest hitter here, which is the Ogre Breacher, and then another Iron Legionary just with default setup. And only 5 models in the Gorger Mawpack, but they are all very tanky, have a ton of wounds, and can do scary amounts of damage. Again, broken into Dagger, Hammer, Shield, so 2, 2, 1. We've got the leader, the Clawback here first, with just a Gorger with single-handed club. Then we have the Cave Howler with the Gorger with nothing, he doesn't get a stick. And then finally, in the Shield, we've got the Gorger with the Great Club, it's called, which is just the two-handed variant, so he's slightly scarier on the crit, I think. So now we come to randomizing our mission. As I mentioned at the top of the video, we're doing it from the old Catacombs book, and this is not updated for the new way the rules work. Most of them say you pick who's attacker and defender at the point at which you've rolled for the mission. In the newer rules for Warcry, that's already done. On that note, roll-off has happened off camera, and the Iron Golems got to pick whether they were attacker or defender, and are being the defender. So with that in mind, we're going to roll for which table, and then roll just 1 to 6 on which we're going. So 1 to 3, 4 to 6. Well, that's a 6, so we're on this half. And well, that rolled off camera, but it is a 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That is Breakout. So also, if it's a mission that only lasts 3 turns, we're going to go at least 4, because a lot of the old missions used to last short, although it looks like this one's 5. The players roll off and the winner chooses who's attacker and who's defender. As I say, that's already happened based on the order of operation for the updated 2nd edition of Warcry. The attacker picks 1 battlefield edge to be the escape route. Any of the defender's fighters that finish a move action within 1 of entrance tunnel, that says tunnel, good grief my eyes. Tunnel on the escape route can escape the battlefield, remove the fighter from the battlefield, but do not count them as being taken down. Reserve fighters cannot be set up within 1 inch of entrance tunnels and the escape route. If half of the fighters of the defender's warband escape, the defender wins the battle. Otherwise, after 5 battle rounds, the battle ends with the attacker being the winner. So the Iron Golems are going to have to try and push through this forest. So I guess they're just trying to escape the Gorger Mawpack. Now, this is a Catacombs mission which has defined entrances and exits. I'll go double check how many exits are on each edge of the Catacombs map, and we'll set up specific areas on the map, and then be back with rolling, or rather drawing, for deployment type. So it's roughly 2 exits on every edge, or not roughly, it's exactly 2 exits on every edge. If it is the shorter edges, they're going to be 3 in and at least 7 apart. If they're on the long, it's at least 10 in and 8 apart, I believe, if my measurement was correct. 10 and then 8, yep. So that is how it's going to be based on which edge is picked. Now we have to see which deployment we're doing. And the reason we're not using the Catacomb deployment types is most of them don't let the full force come on, which 1 will lead to too quick of a match, and 2 be very, very unfair to the Gorger Mawpack because they have so few bodies, which I think we saw last time actually, a long time ago. So, let's see. Stark beginnings. So just the shields are starting on the table 6 inches apart from each other. Round 2, the daggers are coming in on opposing edges. Round 3, the hammers are coming in on opposing edges. That's actually bad for the Iron Golems, because they want as many models on the table as possible early to just get off the table. So, alright, we'll get this set up, be back to talk it through after this quick word from my channel sponsor.
This video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. Check out the video description below for an affiliate link that will take you through to their store, and it will help me out as well. Thanks.
And with that, we are about ready to get started. So the Gorger Mawpack are the attackers technically, so they get to pick the edge that the Iron Golems have to escape from, and it is camera left over here. I said it was 3 inches in before, it was 4, misremembered. So there is an exit here, and at the other end of the same table edge there is as well. Getting within one of that is not good enough, has to be within an inch of the actual edge of the mat. And because of the stark beginnings, it doesn't make the Gorger Mawpack start off well, but their reinforcements are coming on this side, so that'll mean they'll be able to stop them. And it does also mean the Iron Golems have to choose between leaving their Ogre Breacher, their hardest hitter, on the table to do damage, or to get him off to count towards the win condition. And because with only the shields on the table to start with, we have the Ogre Breacher and a single Iron Legionary with bog standard setup. And then behind the statue in the middle here, we have a single Gorger with Great Club. Now the Great Club one can do a lot of damage, 8 on a crit, but obviously one model can't really tie up everyone in combat. And in the next turn, the Iron Golems are coming in as far as possible, right over this edge of the table from where they need to get to. So they're going to waste a lot of time in round 2 running, but I guess that's why it's a 5-round game at most. So with that, I think we're ready to get started. Let's go roll some dice. So here's how the dice shook out at the top of Battle Round 1. The Iron Golems, they're in the red dice. They managed to roll a 2-2 and a 5-5, so they're just holding on to their wild die for a future turn. They know they're not going first. The Gorger Mawpack rolled a 1-1, and they have used their wild die to turn a single 6 into a double, leaving them with 2 unused. They are taking first activation. Well, it is going to be a very quick turn one. The only Gorger on the table activated spent their 6/6 on rush to get an extra inch of movement on movement actions, and did 2 of those. Normally he's 5 inches, so that was 6 inches. Total of 12 was enough for him to get in to base with both Iron Golems on the table. So they have some difficult decisions to make, because obviously if they try and pull away, they're going to get whacked at, that's the word, whacked at. But their only quick route of escape is down and left, and that means they're in a prime position to get jumped by the reinforcements coming in turn 2, so it's going to be a tough decision. So now it was over to the decisions of the Iron Golems, and the Iron Legionary activated, immediately chose to do a disengage. He can go 3 inches, it's not classed as a movement action, but he must end at least an inch away from the person he was engaged with. Then he did a normal move, which is just 4 inches, so he wasn't losing much, and is scarpering towards the exit. Now the decision of what to do with the Ogre Breacher is here, because he can do a lot of damage, but he's slow, and well, they're all slow, honestly. This is going to be a bit of a rough mission for them. Is he going to stay and just try and punch his problems? That's a tough decision. Maybe one of those triples will swing the decision towards one way or t'other. The Breacher decided to stand and fight, because he is the one most capable of doing an insane amount of damage, and that actually is on display here. He only gets to attack twice, but he did 2 attack actions, so it's 4 in total. He's strength 6 versus toughness 3, so he just needed 3 pluses. That's an obvious whiff, but he got 2 regular hits through and a crit. Now sadly none of his triples could do anything. He could have used Livering Battering Ram if he could have done a movement action, but that's not too bad. The crit on its own, that's 8 damage. Each of those normal wounds, that's 4. So that's 16 wounds in total to this poor Gorger. Now this is a bog standard Gorger, so I think he's still got like, how much health does he have? He has, yeah, he started with 30 wounds, so he's got 14 left. But losing just over half in one go just shows how strong that Breacher is. Like the Ogre Breacher is the most powerful on their side by far. And that takes us to the end of the round already, because everyone is activated. So we'll go roll dice for round 2 and then show you where the reinforcements are coming in, and it's the daggers that are coming in. Here's how the dice shook out for the top of turn 2. The Iron Golems really wanted to go first, and it's just not happened. They rolled a 1-1 and a 6/6. They've turned one of the 6s into a triple using the wild die from the first round, leaving them with 2 singles, and they're banking a wild die that they got for this turn. The Gorger Mawpack rolled a 4/4 and just a bunch of singles. They turned the single 6 into a 6/6 and have 3 singles, so they're going first again, and that probably means, based on where the reinforcements are coming in, that Iron Legionary ain't making it off the table safely. And just to show you where reinforcements have come on, we have the reinforcements, the dagger for the Gorger Mawpack over here, which is the clawback and the Gorger with the one-handed club. And then on the other end of the table, long distance to run to get out alive, we have the signifier of the Dominar and the armator. Armator? Is that the right word? I keep forgetting. Armator, the little dwarf guy. He's usually left out, and now he's just going to have to make those little legs work and run across the entire battlefield. The one saving grace for the Iron Legionary down here is that the Gorger Mawpack couldn't get him in a single turn, so the or in a single movement action I should say, even with rush, so they didn't bother wasting that. So the clawback activated, did 2 to get into base to base, and now he's very much in danger, and even if he does a disengage, he can't go through them. It's normal movement without climbing or flying or anything, so he'd have to go backwards, and that's just an absolute pain. Well, despite that, the Ogre Breacher activated first for the Iron Golems, deciding to try and capitalise on that massive amount of damage he did in turn 1. So he just did 2 attack actions again, 2 attacks across each for a total of 4, strength 6 versus toughness 3, and this time no crits, but he did manage to get every hit through for a total of 16 more wounds, meaning that, unfortunately, the Gorger with the Great Club is not so great and has been removed. So that is a massive boon when the enemy force only has a total of 5 miniatures and 2 of them aren't on the table right now. So that is a big help. The other Gorger on the table, the one with the single-handed club activated, spent their double 4 on rush for +1 inch to each movement action, did 2 of them for a total of 12, and has ended up kind of blocking the way there between the statue and the ruins, and facing down that Ogre Breacher who just beat his cousin to death. And honestly, he's not scared of him. We'll see how that goes. So after that, it just came down to the Iron Golem reinforcements, the ones that came on as the dagger. Starting with the signifier, it isn't needed now because the round is essentially over, but the triple was being spent on Stand Defiant, which is his little aura bubble he can do because he's raising the banner, which just gives +1 toughness, which is pretty good. Isn't needed, as said, so he just did 2 movement actions and has ended up there. It's probably going to be the same for the Armator and the Dominar, so we might just do those together and show where they ended up. Yeah, and after those 2 movement actions, that's where they ended up. The Armator only moves 3 inches, so 6 in total. Didn't get him very far. Maybe should have saved the rush for him, but it was the Dominar who used them, the rush that is, to do a total of 10-inch movement. So he's kind of leading from the front now, right here. And with that, it's the end of the round. As we go into round 3, the final reinforcements come on, which is not good news for the Ogre Breacher because the Gorger Mawpack reinforcements are appearing right behind him. And it's relatively good news for the Iron Golems because their reinforcements are coming on approximately here, and that kind of gives them a straight shot run to one of the escapes. Oh, we almost went to the next round before the poor little Iron Legionary, the bog standard Iron Legionary with nothing special. He's just a bog standard 80-point troop. He hadn't activated yet. Couldn't decide what to do with him because he can't disengage that way to run away. Well, he decided, hey, the biggest threat on the enemy team is engaged here. Let's keep it there because the reinforcements are at the other end, the top end of the table, and that will mean he can't just run to them. So that brave Iron Legionary opted just to stand and fight. 2 attacks, 4 in total across 2 attack actions. Only strength 3 versus toughness 3, so 4s count as successes. So he managed to get 2 normal successes and 1 crit. He's not exactly dishing out a lot of damage. The crit does 3, the normal hits do 1. That's still a total of 5 though, which isn't terrible. That puts the leader of the Gorger Mawpack, the clawback, from 35 wounds to 30. Now we're actually ready to move on. Top of turn 3 of a potential 5, and here's how the dice shook out. The Iron Golems rolled a double 1, a triple 3, and they used one of their wild dice, which they've been saving, to turn a single 4 into a double 4, and they've still got a wild dice left over. Same situation for the Gorger Mawpack. They rolled a quad 2 and a double 6. They're opting to keep that double 6 because it lets them do bounding leap. So they're holding on to a wild die as well. That meant it came down to a roll off because neither side had any leftover singles, or the same amount if you count the wild dice. The Iron Golems have won the roll off, so for the first time in this game so far, they get to activate first, which they'll do after I show you quick where the reinforcements have come on. It's no wonder the Iron Golems have decided that escaping is the best course of action, because it's got to be intimidating seeing all these Gorgers just emerge from the trees. So the final reinforcements for the Gorger Mawpack, the hammer, which was the cave howler, and just the Gorger that doesn't have a club. He isn't allowed one until he gets at least one kill. They have come on right here, opposite end of the table, but just in line with them, annoyingly behind that statue, so it's kind of hard to see them. But up here, you just have to, there we go, if we just did that real quick, there they are here. It is the drill sergeant, not the drill sergeant, what's he called? It's drill something, drill master, there we go. Drill master, the Iron Legionary with the bolas, and then the other bog standard Iron Legionary are over there. And they've got a straight shot just to run out, so they're in the best position to start meeting that win condition for the Iron Golems. Anyway, with that, let's get started. Well, I hope they'd remember his sacrifice. The Ogre Breacher activated for the Iron Golems. The triple was spent on Living Battering Ram. He's the only one who can do this. Until the end of this fighter's activation, the next time this fighter finishes a move action within one of an enemy, pick a visible enemy within one to allocate a number of damage points to that fighter equal to the value of this ability. So he finished a movement action against both of them. He then swung just once, which is 2 attacks, again strength 6 into toughness 3, into the cave howler, 2 normal hits, but that's still 8 there, so for a total of 11 of the cave howler's 30 wounds. For the Gorger Mawpack, the Gorger that was between the statue and the ruins there activated the one with a single club, did 2 movement actions in order to lock down the Drill Master and the Legionnaire with bolas in combat to at least make it harder for them to get away, but they're just suffering from not enough bodies. Like, they can't be everywhere they need to be to lock down enough people that they're going to stop them getting past. Next activation for the Iron Golems was the Dominar, who just ran screaming with his battle hammer above his head. Total of 8 inches, didn't bother using a rush on him because he's far enough along, and that ended up putting him right there. He's safe. It doesn't matter who gets off the table for the Iron Golems, as long as, I think it's at least half, right? So at least 4 models have to make it off. The Cave Howler activated, on that note, there you go, and had one goal in mind: kill the Ogre Breacher. How was that going to be achieved? Well, it started by spending their quad 1 on, what is it called? Starving Rampage. The first part about needing to be classed as a beast, dropping treasure, it doesn't matter. Essentially, it's just a bonus attack action. So in total, the Cave Howler was doing 3 attacks, and they get 5 dice per attack, strength 4. Granted, the Ogre Breacher is toughness at 5, so they were needing at least 5s to get a normal wound through and 6s for crits, but that was 15 dice rolled against the Ogre Breacher for a total of 3 normal hits and 2 crits. Didn't have enough dice to leave them showing for you, sorry about that, but that equals 21 wounds to the Ogre Breacher. Hilariously though, the Ogre Breacher is on par with them in terms of total number of wounds. He has 30 in total, so he's still alive. He only has 9 left, but he is still alive, which means the original plan was if she was able to kill him, he would be able to like run over here or, you know, just block someone. As it is though, he's going to have to try and do the 9 later in the turn. It's awkward to get an angle for this fight that's happening up here, but it's going to be continuing. The Drill Master activated and chose to stand her ground and fight. 2 attacks, both of them are 4 attacks, so 8 in total. Strength 4 versus toughness 3, so only the successes of both rolls have been left here. A total of 4 normal hits and 1 crit equaled 12 wounds of the Gorger's 30. Not super ideal, but a reasonable start. We're already down to the final Gorger Mawpack activation. It's the Gorger with no weapons, and he ideally wanted to try and kill the Ogre Breacher in just 1 attack. He's doing 4 at strength 4. If there'd been 4 crits, he would have done it, or 3 crits plus a hit. But no, he had to do both attacks. In total, he got 3 normal hits through and 1 crit. Normal hit is 3 wounds, the crit is 5. So that was 14 on top of the 21 he had. So that is enough that the Ogre Breacher has fallen. So that has freed them up at least for the ability to charge forwards and up the table next time. But that's their round 3 done. It's just over to all the Iron Golems now to see what they're up to. We might like lump together some movement actions and just focus on the combat. Yep, we're going to get 2 movements out of the way. The Armator spent one of their doubles on Rush and has ended up in You Shall Not Pass almost type pose, because they can't end a movement action within one of them or the count is engaged. So that does create a little roadblock, and that wasn't a deliberate pun. The Signifier spent their other double on Rush to get a total of 10 inches, so he's basically next to the Dominar. He's slightly behind them, but he is right up here. So I think that's about it in terms of movement. Actually, there is one Legionnaire who's free from the Gorger at the top. He could just move. Let's see. Yep, that one last Legionnaire who was not in base to base with the Gorger. He moved 4 inches that way, so he ended further than an inch from him, then moved 4 again and has ended up there next to the signifier. If the 3 of them make it off the table, one more model just needs to make it and they're good. Now we've got a correction. Totally forgot that the clawback did not activate this round and is probably going to eat this guy who we've actually just rolled out for. So this damage might get undone because we're going to go back and do this. He's engaged, he's going to try and eat this Legionnaire. It's highly likely he will, but this dice roll is going to stand just in case, and it was a real bad one as well. He rolled 3 1s and a crit, so it's just 3 more wounds. So the clawback isn't going to die or anything, but it's just, can the clawback do 10 wounds in one attack? Because that would mean his other action is free for him to move up the way. So apologies, forgot he hadn't activated, going to correct that now. So we rolled out the clawback's turn, and it should have happened earlier in the round, but because of what happened, it really doesn't change anything, as he did not actually get enough damage through to kill the Iron Legionnaire. And that's because the Iron Legionnaire, who has just like the bog standard mace plus shield, is toughness 5. The Ogre Breacher's toughness 5, and everyone else is just toughness 4, even the boss. So pick the wrong one to pick a fight with. Him and one of the other bog standard Legionnaires have the shield set up. So yeah, they're toughness 5, and he's only strength 4. Sorry, he is strength 5. So 4 pluses count as successes across 4 attacks. His first attempt at 4 dice equaled 1 success for 3 whole wounds. His next attempt equaled 1 success. It was a crit though, which is 6, but that means 9 damage in total, and that means that he's alive on 1, which is an annoying amount to mark with wound counters, so I'm going to have to go look out some more. But that does mean that the clawback did stay stuck in combat, and that could actually cost them the game right there. That left the final activation of the round, which is the bog standard Legionnaire next to his Drillmaster, also using bolas. 3 attacks at strength 3 twice for a total of 6. The rolls are actually here. That's 1 success against toughness 3 for a single wound, and that was his first attempt right there, which was 3 1s. The Iron Golems have started rolling a lot of 1s. That's very bad. So that's 1 extra wound to him, so he's up to 13, which is a nothing burger really. Was hoping to do a much bigger wound to him there of his 30. He's not even at half yet, because one of those 2 is going to need to get off the table, and that's going to be a potential problem going into the next round. And here's how the dice shook out at the top of the penultimate turn. It probably will need to go the 5 turns, even if 3 of them get off the table. They started with, what was it, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 models. It was an awkward number of models that the Iron Golem started with. 2, 4, 6, 7... Oh no, it was 8. Yeah, so it is 4. Never mind. Either way, Iron Golems rolled a double 4, and they used both their wows because they've been holding on to 1 each time to make a double 6 and a double 5. They want to do lots of rushes. Left them with 2 singles. Gorger Mawpack, they rolled a quad 3. They used their wow die to make a single 4 into a double, and that means they will be going second. So the Iron Golems were going first, and they immediately spent 1 of their doubles on rush for their Dominar to give him a total of 10 inches. It got him to there, and he is within 1 of what is the edge of the table, so he counts as rescued and goes into the win pile. So 3 more models off the table, and they will have done enough to win. The Cave Howler activated, immediately moved into combat with this Legionnaire over here, who is toughness 5 and 1 wound left. Only rolled out what was needed, and there was 3 crits in there. Well, she only had 1 set of attacks anyway because she moved. That's 14 wounds? No, that is 16 wounds. So yeah, he is a fine red paste and is off the table. Actually, that was 18 wounds. I keep forgetting she crits for 6. Either way, didn't matter. 1 wound left, obviously a fine paste. And that, more importantly, frees up the clawback to run real quick up there to try and block off. Well, 1 more is going to get off the table now, probably. But he could still block off someone else. It's largely just been a nice stroll through the woods for the Dominar, and now the Signifier, who used the double 6 for a rush. That is within an inch of the table edge, just. If I can bend this right, there we go. He is within an inch, just barely. And that means he is off the table now as well, and is in the win pile. 2 more models need to get off the table successfully. So of course the clawback activated. for it to take his wounds with him. There he goes. So he did 2 movements which got him there. That puts that Legionnaire with shield within 6, which means he can spend their double unbounding leap, which is as long as there's an enemy within 6, you get a bonus move to move closer to them. Doesn't even need to definitely end with you engaged, but that is close enough that he is engaged, and that is now an issue. The Legionnaire that just got engaged by the clawback did a disengage action followed by a movement action. He is just hightailing it towards one of the escape points and might make it depending on who goes first next round. I guess we'll see. Again with that awkward angle from the statue here, but the Gorger up there engaged with the 2 equipped with bolas, went after the bog standard Legionnaire because he's the easier kill. 2 sets of 3 attacks, toughness, strength 5 rather, versus toughness 4, so 3 plus is success. First rolls had 2 normal hits get through for a total of 6 wounds. Second, only a crit got through, but that's 6 on its own, so a total of 12, and he's a 10 wound model. So that is a death for the bog standard Legionnaire with bolas. He has disappointed his boss for the last time. Remember the Armator, the little dwarf guy who was here and he was gunning for a fight? He reassessed the situation and kind of looked at his options and instead thought, there's still a double that isn't used. Let's just use that for rush real quick to make his 3-inch movement 4 and do 8-inch run through that door because he does fit. And he has ended up, we're going to have to come around here unfortunately, it's a little awkward, but he has ended up here. He is not within an inch of the clawback. Knocked the light a little bit. So he is not counting as engaged, and that creates a further problem. He doesn't need to run to the top left of the table either, although that is still closer. There is a second exit just down here. The Gorger with no stick to call his own is the final activation of the penultimate round for the Gorger Mawpack. Just did 2 5-inch movements and got him there. They've got a quad left. Can't use it unfortunately. With hindsight, should have used it against the Drill Master. Probably wouldn't have killed her, but should have done that. But too late to go back now. Misplay. Just out of curiosity's sake, rolled what would have happened had the Gorger with a club got 1 bonus attack against the Drill Master using the quad for Starving Rampage. Would have been a crit and a hit. They got through for 9 damage. She's a 15 wound model, so she would have lived anyway. And it was over to the Drill Master to end off the round. She did a disengage action, and there was actually enough distance behind the tree to the top right over there that she could fit through because she's a smaller base size. And then she did a normal move and has ended up there. So essentially what it's boiled down to is the final turn is a mad dash for 3 of them. The Armator who can't see down here, Drill Master, and then the bog standard Legionnaire with shield. 2 of those 3 need to make it off the table. And that definitely means they need to get first activation. So I guess it's all down to this dice roll as we go to the top of turn 5. Well, that's an interesting situation. Dice rolled out for the final turn. Both sides have rolled 2 doubles and have 2 singles, have opted not to use their wild dice, and that means it's even Stevens, so it's just a direct roll off. So we're going to do that live with the dice on your left for the Iron Golems, and that is a 5 versus a 6. That means the Gorger Mawpack are going first, and that could be pivotal for who wins this. So we're going to have to go shaky cam a little bit here to show what happened. The clawback immediately activated, spent one of their doubles on Bounding Leap because the Iron Legionnaire with shield was within 6 inches, so you just get a free movement, and that meant he could attack twice, 4 attacks, strength 5 versus toughness 5 because he's got a shield. And the roll was actually pretty bad, so there is a chance. The 2 dice results, just the successes have been left. 1 set of dice resulted in a normal hit, 1 resulted in a crit. That is a total of 9 wounds, so the Legionnaire is alive on 1 health. And he's about to scarper off the table, I think. Yep, a disengage action almost on its own was enough. He's definitely off that table and into the wind pile with his chums. He goes. Either the Drill Master, who now has a clawback blocking her. Now, she might be able to do like a move there. Actually, he's within an inch of her, I think, so she might be counting as engaged. We'll have to see. But the Armator's also just over there. His small movement, though, is going to be the biggest factor for him not getting out. And even if they don't kill him, he needs to get out this turn or it doesn't count. The Gorger with no weapon at all activated, spent their other double on Bounding Leap to get into base to base with the Armator slashing him in the back. Something vicious. That's 4 attacks at strength 4, so a total of 8. And the first attack had 3 normal successes, and then the second set of attacks had 2 crits. His crits are what, 6 or 5, and then the normal hits are 3, so that's 19 wounds. The armator is how much wounds did he have? He had 12, but it certainly isn't 19 or thereabouts. So he got slashed in the back and just cut in 2 and is now dead, which means the Drillmaster has to get off the table or it's a loss. So she's got rush, so she can definitely make use of that to be moving 6 per turn or per movement, because she is 5-inch by default. Have to see if she's classed as engaged where she is, because it might have to be a disengage first, and she can't end within an inch of the person she's disengaging from. This is going to take some very fine measuring, so one moment. So to show you this tree is just going to magically vanish, so we can show you this precisely. She was within 1 of the clawback where she was, so it did count as engaged, which means her first action had to be a disengage. She disengaged to where you can see her. That is not within an inch of the clawback, who she was engaged with, and not within an inch of that Gorger there, meaning that with rush, which is giving her a 6-inch move, she actually does make it to the tippy top edge of the table here, and that means that she can escape, and just barely becomes the bare minimum. If we just pan out here so we can see, here's the escaped pile. That's 4 miniatures escaped and 4 miniatures dead. The Ogre Breacher, the Armator, the Legionnaire with bolas, and the Legionnaire, one of the Legionnaires with sword and shield. The other one survived. So exactly half of them made it off the point, so let's double check that actually is a win. That ended up being a lot closer than I thought, especially after the Ogre Breacher just iced one of the Gorgers in the early stages of the game. But for breakout, let's see. Reserve fighters can't be set up. Yeah, if half of the fighters in the defender's warband escape, the defender wins the battle. Exactly half did. It doesn't say what to do in a situation where like there's an uneven number of people in your warband. Like if you've got say 7 or 9 models or whatever. It doesn't say round up. It doesn't say round down, which is an oversight in my opinion. But luckily, it doesn't matter here. 4 dead, 4 alive. Right at the cusp of the end of the game there. Had the Drillmaster even been hit, like if we'd remember to do the Starving Rampage, she still would have lived on whatever it was, 6 wounds, so that doesn't really change the outcome at all. If she hadn't been able to get off the table in that turn, she would have been ripped to pieces. The Cave Howler down here wouldn't have been able to get there, but this Gorger would have been able to catch her for sure and finish her off. So yep, that is an Iron Golem victory, if you call only getting half your people out alive a victory. And that is going to do it for a return to Warcry. It's been a little bit. This is just a once in a while thing, and as I said at the top of the video, has been available early by about a week to channel members as a thank you for the extra support they're willing and able to show. That is just one of the ways you can support the channel. You could also press the thanks button, or if you can just like, comment, etc. Do anything that is free, that all helps as well. Or if you want to pick up something for yourself, check out my channel sponsor via the affiliate link in the description box below. Anything you buy, and they do hold Games Workshop stuff, via that link I get compensated, so we both get something out of it. And they carry Warcry, they carry everything Games Workshop does, and they carry most things I play on the channel in general. Thank you for watching either way, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you sometime in the future for more Warcry. Until then, ta for now.